but some French guy from Quebec saying, we're not going to let a pipeline through here to the East Coast because it's just not good for the environment or some kind of horse shit, right? It's like, what the is wrong with these guys? I think a lot of people, when they were trying to make up their backup plans, had realizations that, oh shit, maybe regardless of what happens, the backup plan is better than the current plan, right? That there's economies of scale over there and there's efficiencies over there and there's not having to worry about this again that is worth something as well, right? I think a lot of people are of the mindset now of we can't leave ourselves in this position again because we're very vulnerable. We have to, like you said, like diversify. But then you see I don't know who the guy is, but some French guy from Quebec saying, we're not going to let a pipeline through here to the East Coast because it's just not good for the environment or some kind of horse shit, right? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with these fucking guys?
Yeah. I mean, that's you get it back to internal Canadian politics, and you have Alberta and Quebec, Ontario in the middle. Alberta hasn't really been feeling the love for the past 9 years, so they're not going to help us with the tariff fight. Quebec doesn't want the pipeline, but they have a lot more votes than Alberta does. So you can't win the prime ministership, or that you can't win the executive without Alberta or without Ontario and Quebec. So they have more power, and then you get into these internal squabbles that we've
Mm.
always had. And we're not exactly acting like a unified house. And as much as we may want to knock down all the barriers, there's big problems with that.
Here's an unpopular opinion.
What's the big
It re
problem with it though? Like what are they stop what are they trying to what is the point of Quebec saying no, you can't put a pipeline through our province to get it to the other coast because it's so obviously better for the country. I mean, what are they trying to stop from happening?
My guess is they have a price. There's always a price to anything, right?
So
And
they're
it's
making a lot of money to not allow it to come through.
or they want to be paid to allow it to come through.
Hmm.
One
yeah,
way or another, they want their money out. They want to be paid. And should they be paid? I don't know what the answer to that is.
but that's kind of
But
the
Alberta's not going to pay it.
that's the dilemma we've got, right? With
Yeah.
Quebec having so many seats in order to be able to make those votes and to have control of the government, and then Alberta, like such a crucial part of our economy, and the other prairie provinces, whatever they're called, um, they don't have that same level of power. And the likelihood of someone coming out of there who speaks French to be our prime minister also complicate because you got to win Quebec.
Yeah.
You got to win the votes of this huge province that they're all going to be like, unless you treat us special and unless you take our needs into considerations above everybody else's, we're not going to vote you in,
And
right?
don't you think you could get the vote if you go against the French people and you would rally all the English people on your side? Or are there
That
too
would make
many French
sense
people?
You
percentage
still
wise.
need Quebec
You
to
still
get a
need Quebec.
majority, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
And there's a lot
Too
of
bad.
resentment in Alberta, deep seated. Then this goes back decades.
yeah.
I don't know if you'll remember when we used to hold elections, there was a blackout in national media because they didn't want Alberta voters knowing who Ontario and Quebec had just decided to be the prime minister because the election's over by the time Alberta's not even done voting yet and the election's over. It's been decided by what goes on
Right,
in Ontario and Quebec.
right.
So there's deep-seated resentment there. And
Mhm.
then we want Alberta's help to fight the states, which is hyperbolic, but we want Alberta's help. We want to use their energy.
Hmm.
That doesn't sit very well. And that's those kind of fights that have been coming up for decades are brewing back up again right now.
And this country doesn't become the energy powerhouse that it is until we elect an Albertan prime minister.
Yep.
That's just the bottom line. I mean,
Yep.
it's like I'm from Ontario. It's like it's very clear that anybody in Ontario and Quebec just cannot possibly understand how important it is for us to focus on what we've got out west. And that becomes a big issue. So when you talk about the tariffs on one of your videos there about the risk of the 6% minus 6% GDP, right? And to have the economy contract that much. What would happen if those tariffs were implemented?
I think the experts, or whoever they are, say that the auto industry would
Wherever.
grind to a halt within a week because we're so interconnected in supply chain management.
Mhm.
And that should give you hope because Ford, GM, they've got connections to the US executive. I'm sure they can somehow get him on the phone. Um, so that should help. But yeah, it would be instant recession. And then it gets bad.
Just from the automotive industry alone, the
Yeah, I
economy
think
would
so.
contract that much.
Yeah. Well, how many people the economy contracted in November and
Hmm.
everyone's employed relatively. We're only at like 6.7 unemployment rate. You put that many auto workers out of work, how many people aren't buying houses? They're not borrowing money, they're not buying cars, they're not eating out, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
And then you think about what that does to government revenue. How many people aren't paying taxes? You
Right.
know?
So, but
Hmm.
how I don't understand why like that doesn't happen instantly. They still need the parts from us. They still need like there has to be a time period where people suck up the cost difference or figure out a way to deal with it the best they can while trying to retool or move production or find another source, right? It can't just be like they announced tariffs, shut down the factory. We're not buying stuff from them anymore. Or am I wrong? Doesn't
Well,
there have?
what's a $50,000 car cost with a 25% tariff on it?
Mhm.
That bumps up to what?
62.5.
60,000,
Yeah,
62.5. Yeah,
yeah.
you're quick with the math. So, are you going to build that car if it's going to be, are you going to lose 12,000 each on it and ship it back to the States? You're not going to build the car, right? Well,
Hmm.
the
Not going to
Windsor
build the
plant,
car.
how many Pacificas or Chrysler minivans? There's 60,000 roughly. How many of those get shipped to the States every day? You're not going to keep building them at a $10,000-$15,000 loss.
Are you looking for the best merch store on the planet? Well, we got the shit for you. Coming in at low prices where we barely make any money off of whatsoever, you can get the greatest real estate merchandise on this platform. Just look at this very flamboyant man putting on this great stuff. He looks great, he's dancing great, and boy does he look sexy in that merchandise. I tell you, buy this for anybody, you buy this for yourself. You will be not only repping the greatest Canadian real estate podcast in this world, but you will also be looking hella good doing it.